Hello, good evening. My name is Gabby Romero, and I'm going to be presenting on the case of Mahsa Amini. Miss Amini was only 22 years old when she passed away last year, September 22nd, as a result of police brutality. Allegedly, what happened was she was visiting her brother in the country of Tehran, and she was cited for not wearing her hijab correctly. And it was reported that witnesses saw that she was actually beaten to death in the van. She was later taken to the hospital and was in the coma-like state for 3 days, and unfortunately and very tragically she passed away. This case was very controversial for many reasons. There were reports that she actually passed away due to a predisposed medical condition when she was 8 years old. There was like a benign tumor that it was reported by a neurologist that she died because of that. But her father actually was very active and it was very vocal and said that that was not the case, that his daughter indeed never had any of those issues, and that she was beaten by the police and as a result died. I think also another unfortunate thing I'd like to mention is that it was very difficult for father to actually prove that, because there were, in Iran there was a lot of protocols. So when an individual dies, they are to be wrapped, and because he was not allowed to see her until she passed, and medical personnel were very protective of not allowing father to see her. Unfortunately, he couldn't really say much to her, what her appearance when post-mortem, when she passed away. I was really prompted. I was really drawn to this case, not only because the fact that such a young woman died at such a young age and so tragically and unreasonably, but as I was reading some of the history in Iran, since the Iran Revolution in 1979, women's rights were diminished, tremendously. In our readings, I believe it was chapter 4, talks about feminist rights and activism and what have you. And actually in Iran, women are not allowed to vote. Women are not allowed to be granted a divorce. And oftentimes if they are granted a divorce, there are custodial issues where a woman is not allowed to have custody of their children. And so the Iran Revolution was in 1979, and I believe it was 2009. I think they were stricter with the dress code. So it is very, it's common to see women be slapped and tortured because they're not adhering to the dress code. Because of the death of Mahsa Amini, impact was that for 4 days, there was reported Iran, New York, Berlin, Los Angeles, mass protests. There was mass protests. Many women were burning their hijabs, and unfortunately, in Iran, it was also reported that protesters were being held accountable, and some of them a couple have even died. Many are injured. I think it was in the 200 number range, but a couple did die due to the Iran's strict codes. I also think it's kind of noteworthy is that the fact that Miss Amini's death made such an impact that there were 2 million mentions on Twitter. 2 million mentions that trended on Twitter, and there were many feminist groups, many human rights groups were involved. Now you're probably asking, this was a very for tragic reasons, but a very popular case. What happened afterwards? So it was reported that the supreme leader, I'm probably butchering the name, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, said that the riots and insecurities were designed by America and Zionist regime to undermine government authority. There was an investigation that was conducted, and as a result, the investigation was conducted by the group, the Legal Medical Organization, and it was revealed, or it was reasoned that Amini passed away due to underlying diseases. Unfortunately, the family, especially the father, who's been very vocal during this case, he said that the family has received many death threats, and they've been told not to attend any of the protests. And other than that, there hasn't really been much said. There's been a lot of support especially from the U.S. Biden says that he stands with the women of Iran and that he honors their bravery. And there's been sanctions from U.S. and Canada and what have you. Again, I was very, very drawn to this case because I really do admire Amini's bravery. And I do also admire the attention, in a positive way that this case brought. Unfortunately, realistically, restorative justice probably would not be applicable in this case because of all the regulations, what have you. But if this case happened here in the U.S., what I would like to see is that the government be held accountable, that the new policies be implemented, and I would like to see more. It doesn't have to be feminist groups; it could be human rights groups involved to protect women that deal with this, this atrocity. I would like to see, kind of like we saw with like George Floyd, like many groups stood up to defend them, and now there's this awareness. I would like to see that same. If we can have Amini's case here, hopefully that I don't think that would happen, but what I would like to see is that there be justice. Maybe Amini, it's too late for Amini, but justice in other ways, more awareness, more communities gathering together to work together to change policies, to lobby, lobby to the government, more policy change. I would like to see that happen. But again, I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to you about this case. I was just very drawn to it. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.